Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we are proud to announce that Mark and Patrick will be trophies in the upcoming Smash Brothers game.
But Patrick, there are no trophies in the upcoming Smash.
What? It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including the Smash Brothers Ultimate Direct. And then on Thursday, come back for that because we are going to be determining the 8 best NES games of all time with your help. A lot of you have contributed. We're very excited about this conversation. Mark, do you already know how the list is going to wind up?
No, how could I possibly?
That made it sound like maybe you do.
No, I wasn't being sarcastic. I genuinely don't know.
All right. Well, I genuinely don't know if you were being sarcastic. But before we get to that, we've got, like I say, a good show today. Lots to talk about.
Lots to talk about.
But first, you should be our friend on the Nintendo Switch. Our friend codes are in the episode description, so you can just add us there. I like seeing what people are playing.
Yeah, I was playing something this weekend.
Oh.
Maybe a couple somethings. Won't say till we get to that segment.
Right.
But as I was playing,
You could see
saw
what-
everybody
yep.
like popping up, playing different things. It was a lot of fun.
And you could see what we're popping up and what we're playing, and that will be a lot of fun. We have guest weather today.
That's right. We're
mhm.
like that famous Adele song, We Are Rolling in the Guest Weather. Lots of submissions recently.
I don't know this Adele song.
Rolling in the guest weather?
There's no way that Adele has a song called Rolling in the Guest Weather.
You clearly can't prove
There
that.
is no
You
way.
can't prove that.
So we got an email from Dunco Manuel who says, hello, love the podcast. Could you please, all caps please, tell me about the weather here in Gothenburg, Sweden? I need to know what to wear. With regards, Denko Manuel. Well, Denko, the weather in Gothenburg, Sweden right now, currently 5 o'clock a.m. local time. It is 48 degrees and cloudy.
48 degrees Fahrenheit, we should clarify.
Oh, that's a great point. There's
you're-
no way to know what that is. in
yeah,
Celsius.
you're going to have to do those calculations on your own.
It's like 12 or
We're
something.
ugly
right?
Americans. We're not going to figure that out. 0? I don't know.
No, 0 would be 32. I got that much of the conversion I've got down.
Oh, somebody's been to Europe.
I consider myself a man of science, Mark. I understand some science, but it looks like it's going to be raining there like all week. So, look forward to that. Bring an umbrella.
Yeah, and we've had some other people. Oh, of course, big ups
Big ups to Gothenburg, Sweden.
The biggest of ups. We also have some other guest weather that people have requested, and that'll happen in future episodes.
That's right. And if you want your guest weather, I guess, read on this show, you can email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society
At gmail.com.
But we would really prefer if you would, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or whatever. That's where what that is for. I guess also reviewing the show. But if you find yourself unable to do that and you want to send us an email, hey, that's great.
Or you did on like Spotify or something, because I don't check those regularly.
Yeah, we don't check other places for reviews. So then send us an email and basically ask us for whatever you want, and we'll probably comply. Today, the Tuesday the 6th is Election Day in the United States. Everyone go vote.
Yeah, here's a fun thing. In most states, even if you're not registered, you can cast a provisional ballot. The
Yes.
caveat to this is make sure that you go to your correct polling place, because if you go to the wrong polling place, your provisional ballot will probably get thrown out. But if you didn't register, you missed the deadline, you didn't know you were eligible, I don't know, lots of reasons you may not have registered, you can still participate.
And there are a lot of states that have same-day registration as well. You can check to see if you are one of those. There are a million voting resources, and Mark and I are not one of them. But other than just, it's one day. You can do it. Mark, do you have a voting plan?
I already voted. I voted by mail.
Mark? So did I. All right, let's get into what we've been playing this week.
not to totally break this format,
Okay.
but do we want to plug the Sonic Forces trading program?
Oh, okay. Well, let's go back, I guess. Something else you can do with the email address, you can borrow my copy of Sonic Forces just by sending your address to Nintendo Cartridge Society
At
gmail.com.
gmail.com.
And I send you my copy of this game. It's on Switch. You can play it for as long as you want and send it back someday.
I feel satiated.
All right, great. Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week.
The Messenger, baby.
Oh, that Messenger. So we were gifted codes for the Messenger by one of our listeners. Thank you, June. And so we have both been spending some time this week playing. Mark, I was sick this weekend.
Oh no.
Caught a cold on Friday. Was knocked out basically all day Saturday and most of Sunday. But I spent some of that knockout time playing the Messenger. I think this game's great.
I think so too. I picked up Diablo 3
Uh-huh.
on Friday with the intention of that's what I was going to spend most of my weekend on. But before I got into
that would
that,
be such a good sick game. I should have picked it up.
well, here's the thing: is before I started it, I was like, well, let me check out the Messenger.
Yeah.
So I started playing that. Put like an hour and a half into it, and then I was like, okay, when I game again, I'll boot up Diablo.
Yeah.
Come back a little bit later in the day, turn on my Switch. I'm like, maybe I should try to get a little bit further in the Messenger before I turn on Diablo.
Well, and because of the Switch, you're just like, it's still on the Messenger.
So
you just hop right back in.
So anytime that I was like, should I play Diablo 3? It's like, no, I'm just going to keep playing in the Messenger because that's how much I've been enjoying it.
Messenger is phenomenal. I love how much of the game is just about fluidity of motion and just like all the little things all the abilities that you learn and pretty simple techniques that you string together to just like fly across the screen. As long as there are enemies and walls and like lamps and stuff, you can really just like propel yourself anywhere.
I'd also say the difficulty is like just right for me.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's not super hard, but it's not a breeze either. Like I will die frequently in the platforming. I will die frequently at bosses, but each time I like respawn and attack the boss again, like I get better at it. I can feel myself getting better, and then finally I like master the pattern. It's very satisfying.
The best thing about dying a lot in boss fights is that as soon as you start them up, so when you die in this game, it's like a little demon who brings you back to life. He canonically brings you back in time to your last checkpoint. But he will like stick around and like steal your treasure for a little bit before leaving. But when you're in a boss fight, he gets freaked out by the boss and just like bugs off right away. So there's like no penalty in dying in a boss fight.
So I don't think it's a spoiler because it was in the Nintendo Direct or Indie Showcase or whatever.
Yeah.
That the game switches between 8-bit and 16-bit art styles and like music style and everything.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. It takes a while to get to that point.
Yeah, it's pretty deep in the game.
And so I couldn't remember, like, is this the game that does that?
Oh,
yes,
sure.
It is. It is.
Well, it is interesting because like that it does the 16-bit switch after sort of like a fake out ending where like it makes you think that did you get to the switch?
Yeah.
Okay. It makes you think that like you're headed like towards the end of the game. You're in this like tower of time. And then you hit this thing and like the whole game sort of transforms. But it is something that the shopkeep guy teases at one point. Like as you're approaching he's like, well, you're here at the end of the game. And he's like, who am I kidding? You probably saw the trailer. I really like the writing in this game. I think it is smart and self-aware in a way that is funny and engaging, but also like always searches for extra meaning, like expressly the character who runs the store, who's like a wise man or sage of some kind, and the messenger himself have a little like repartee, and whenever you go into the store you can ask like, tell me a story, and they like he tells a story and then they like try to tease out some extra meaning from it, and sometimes the shopkeeper's like, there is no meaning to the story. the fact that you're trying to find meaning in it is the meaning. And I don't know, just I look forward to every chance I get to read more of this game's writing.
Yeah, yeah, it's really good. Really enjoying this game. I haven't finished it yet. I'm in the end game, I think, but have not completed it.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat too. Have not completed yet.
One thing that I don't know, this game seems like it got a fair bit of promotion. You know, it was in like the Indie Direct and everything,
Yeah.
but just I forgot it came out completely.
Yeah, well, you and I aren't great at this, but here's one thing I'm
This being a podcast.
Yeah, that's right. This show that you're listening. Look, it's a good show. I'm just saying we're not good at it. That's all. I think this game is like the second coming of Guacamelee, in that all of the combat techniques are built into how you move around the screen. And it is also like a smart and funnily written. But I think it bests Guacamelee in just about every one of those dimensions. Like I think the combat is better. I think the locomotion is better, and I think the writing is smarter and funnier without appealing to sort of like cheap jokes like Guacamelee will do, which is like got a lot of like sort of meme-based humor built into it. And it sort of works in Guacamelee because it's like absurdist. But yeah, it just I'm very happy with this game.
Yeah, if you're looking for a like indie game on Switch to pick up, highly recommend The Messenger. Thank you again, June, for picking that up for us. I did play a little bit of Diablo 3.
Tell me about your experience with Diablo 3.
It seems cool.
Now, had you played Diablo 3 on a
No, I
platform?
haven't.
Okay.
This is my first time playing Diablo 3 at all. I started with the adventure mode.
Okay.
I'm like a cleric, I think is the class I chose. And
pretty standard Mark class for a role playing game.
Yeah, for sure. I think when we played D&D together,
Yep.
I was a cleric. Yeah, I think the Diablo 3 is going to be a slow burn for me.
Yeah.
And I can tell this because even in just like the first bit of like the chapter in the story mode I played, there's just like so much to explore.
Yeah.
And it is just all about like running around trying to get better loot. And so I don't feel any pressure to like keep going forward. In fact, I'm a little scared too because I know how much of a time suck it can be.
Yeah.
But as far as like it looks great on Switch, it plays great on Switch. I'm glad I have it. I just don't know when I'm really going to dig into it.
Yeah, and I mean it's tough to like know when we are going to have time to dig into. I mean, we're looking ahead to the new releases for next week. It's not like there's anything new or really like noteworthy on there that we're excited about. So I feel like there may be a few weeks like this, but I'm also wrong because Pokemon comes out the next week. So, and then Smash in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. But yeah, I see it as one of the like holiday time games that I will likely pick up at some point and really sink my teeth into, especially like on a plane or something. Like, man, that'll be great.
And I haven't done it yet, but it seems like it would be a ton of fun to play with friends and just kind of be like casually chatting while you run around and try to get some loot.
It's the dream.
Yep.
All right, Mark, that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Guys, it's happening. November 6th, today, Carnival Games is out.
Okay, now
One of the best selling third-party games on the Wii. Finally getting a Switch port. We did it.
Wow.
We can just shut it down.
Wow. Okay. Is this something you are actually interested in picking up? Mark, the answer is no.
Moving on.
Have you played Carnival Games? on the
No.
Wii? Yeah,
I
me
assume
neither.
it's fine.
Okay.
Brawlhalla,
Yep, the Smash Brothers like game.
one of.
Yeah, one of them. Yes.
It includes Rayman. How do you say it?
I try not to. The Rabbids guy.
Yeah, that one.
Ramondo.
There we go. World of Final Fantasy Maxima.
So this is the first of the Final Fantasy games to come to the. I guess Final Fantasy 15 Pocket is already out. But it's cool. It's cool to see like the games actually coming over. I recently got myself obsessed with the Kotaku video series Found in Translation, which is Tim Rogers' video series exploring the Japanese and American versions of Final Fantasy VII. And like the first video is like 10 minutes of him just exploring like the first 2 lines of dialogue and how they're different, and how like the Japanese characterizes Cloud this way and the English characterizes Cloud this way. And they're great. I cannot recommend this video series highly enough. It's 10 parts. The 10th episode is an hour long, and it just makes me badly want to play Final Fantasy VII again. And then I can just use the little nuggets of information from his sort of like fan translation, or just like his notes about how the translation doesn't totally work, and just be immersed in that. But it's great. Tim Rogers does great work for Kotaku, and these Found in Translation videos are a great example of that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
It's really good.
I'm gonna pretty much wrap it up on what's coming out this week. There's a lot, because there is always a ton of stuff coming out on Switch, but nothing that I find particularly noteworthy.
And therefore, we move on. All right, that brings us to a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, today we are going to be talking about which character from Lord of the Rings are we? Now, we can expand this, of course, to the greater Middle-earth oeuvre.
Yes, of course.
I mean, if there's a character that, like, you know and love from the Silmarillion, there isn't. But if there is one that you think you are, we can go with that. Now, let me start you with a hard question, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it is intellectually or emotionally honest to put forth any character that isn't a hobbit?
I mean... And I actually say this with, no amount of humility. Do you think that we're good enough to be hobbits?
Whoa. I think you and I are pretty good people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we are good-hearted.
Uh-huh.
We are generous with our time.
Uh-huh.
To each other. No, I think we are good enough to be hobbits. I don't necessarily think that all hobbits are like really that good.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There are the Sackville Bagginses,
Uh-huh.
which are Bagginses that nobody likes. Smeagol and Deagle were much like hobbits once, river hobbits, not hill hobbits. So yeah,
you're right. There are hobbits of all stripes,
all stars and stripes. That's right. Well, do you think you would go for a hobbit, or do you think that there's another character that you are more like? What's Carl Urban's character's name?
Oh, gosh. Oh, man.
He's one of the writers of Rohan. I don't know that I necessarily see myself... Éomer, I think is his name.
Okay.
I don't know that I necessarily see myself as Éomer, but like there's something nice about that, like, duty bound and like, rides a horse around the countryside, and like he's stuck with this sort of like crappy king, but like, he's gonna do his duty.
Right.
I don't know. I find
I find you very honor bound.
Thank
you.
Could
see, yeah, I totally. And you have a very like Carl Urban-esque je ne sais quoi about you.
Sure.
So I don't think this is who I am, but I aspire, I guess, to be like Sam, maybe.
Samwise Gamgee?
Yeah.
I
Seems
like this.
Pretty solid.
I like that we're picking aspirational characters. Later, we'll be like, yeah, we're both Gollum.
I don't think we're Gollum. I would say we're Smeagol.
But before he murdered his friend to get the ring.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Or, if one of us is Smeagol, then the other one of us is Deagle. That's how the podcast ends, of course. Tell me what you find so admirable about Sam.
I like that he's loyal.
This is loyalty. Yeah, we're very we're very into people being like driven by an external.
Yeah, but what I like about Sam's loyalty is that he's not like loyal to a system. Like it's not like blind loyalty. It's like loyalty to a person.
Right.
Like he feels like and I find that very admirable.
Yeah, I think it's admirable.
Also, I'd love to be Treebeard. That'd be awesome.
Oh man.
If I was like Treebeard.
To be an ant. So wonderful. Here's the real thing. You want to be Tom Bombadil is who you want to be. Are you familiar with Tom Bombadil?
I've read the books,
Right.
but
He's like a magical pixie man who like holds the ring in his hand and is like, this has no control over me, and then just like skips off into the woods.
Is that what happens?
That's like part of what happens, yeah. It's
Don't they go to his house?
Yeah,
Like after they like cross the river or
That's
whatever.
right. That's one of the things that always impressed me as a kid, that like the whole book is about like this ring will corrupt whoever is around it, and Tom Bombadil doesn't care at all. He's like, oh, this is cool. I know what this is. And they're just like, here you go, hobbitses. And they're not fine with it. It corrupts them and makes, it's hard for them to resist. But Tom Bombadil, he doesn't care.
That's pretty awesome.
I also like Bjorn, I believe is the character's name in The Hobbit, who is a shapeshifter who
Icelandic
turns into
singer?
a bear. Yes. Bjork? If I could be any character from Lord of the Rings, it would be Bjork.
She could exist in that universe.
She probably does, singing elven songs. I don't. Oh,
Well,
I guess we will never know. We were accompanied today by Dopia Big Band, and that is another, by the way, new recording of 433, one that we had not ever used before.
Put it on the board.
I'm amazed at like 190 whatever episodes into this that we're still finding those, but here we are. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Last Thursday, Nintendo ran the final Smash Brothers Direct, revealing a ton of new info about the game over a 40-minute presentation. Classic Smash Brothers Direct. We saw it at E3.
Yep.
Where it's like, it's 40 minutes. It's got to be jam-packed with new information. And it is, but it feels like a leisurely stroll through some of that information.
Yeah, well, and not just a leisurely stroll. It is like a nature hike as led by a guide who is both a bird watcher and a bug enthusiast.
Oh, I thought you were going to say both a bird watcher and a bird. Because Sakurai is such an interesting person. Like, I want to protect him.
Yes, he is.
He seems very fragile.
A rare and beautiful bird. 100%. No, but I mean someone who's going to point out everything that you can
yes, he
possibly
loves
see.
his long discussions about the menu.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get through like the big.
Right, we're kind of underselling it. There was a lot of big news. 3 new characters.
Mm-hmm.
Got Ken, he's like an Echo fighter. So once Ryu was announced, Ken was a logical choice.
Yeah. But I mean, logical choices have no place in Smash. So
fair, as we will get to.
Right.
Incineroar.
Yep.
Who seems awesome, and then Piranha Plant, throwing everybody for a loop.
Yeah.
Including the fact that Piranha Plant apparently has feet underneath that pipe.
Look, this is great. I love that there's a Piranha Plant who is in a tube, but like he's just wearing that tube as pants. Like it's an amazing character design.
He's that Popeye character. He's like a Popeye character in the barrel or something.
Oh, well, yeah, like in old cartoons when like you would be poor and then you would just wear a barrel with like suspenders. Yeah. That's exactly what Piranha Plant is like. Mark, what are your reactions to these 3 characters?
I'm indifferent to Ken.
Okay.
Incineroar, loving it, loving everything about it.
Right.
Little like grandstands after every attack.
I like that he like summons turnbuckles to like throw people into. That seems super cool.
Piranha Plant, love this.
Right.
Love that it's totally out of left field. Love that nobody was predicting it. Love that it wasn't in any dumb fake leaks because nobody could have possibly known.
Right. And I like that it is a pre-order bonus, or not even pre-order, just so long as you purchase the game or purchase and register the game before January 31st, that you have access to this character for freezies.
That's right. Piranha Plant will not be available when the game launches. They're promising it sometime in February.
Right. So you have to buy the game before Piranha Plant exists, and then you get it after you buy it. But whatever you need to do to get this Piranha Plant, It's a piranha plant.
It's really delightful. We also learned there's going to be 5 DLC packs. They're going to be $6 each, or $5.99, or $24.99 for all 5. So you're like saving $5 if you buy the fighter pack or whatever it's called. Each pack contains one new character, one stage, and some new music, and zero indication of what will be included in each pack because they haven't started making it yet.
Which I appreciate all of the honesty around this announcement, because they're like, we haven't started working on these characters yet. Ideally, we would tell you what's in this pack before we try to sell it to you. But, if you think it's going to be worth it to you, then go ahead and buy it. Like, I like how much they're couching the language here of like, this is available. You don't have to buy it.
I also really, really appreciated Sakurai's long blink after like in the video they announced this.
Yeah, a
He
beautiful bird.
Yeah, blinks and then just like stares at the camera like he's at peace with the pain he feels.
He does make a crack about like, am I ever going to get to take a break?
No,
Which
you're not.
Which is one of those things. I know that we were talking a couple weeks ago about how people are interested in like video game crunch now and all that sort of stuff, and it's like we don't actually know what goes on inside any Nintendo studio. But Sakurai is one of the most famously overworked developers in all of gaming, right?
What's that movie or like where like some ballet shoes get like the red shoes or something?
Yeah, sure.
I feel like Sakurai has that
He's
going
wearing some
on.
red shoes?
He's wearing some red shoes, and it's just like he will probably keep making beautiful, weird Smash Brothers games until it kills him.
Well, in the meantime, he will be a beautiful bird.
Here's some other news from the Direct. Trophies gone.
No more trophies.
No more trophies. He's just straight up like, man, these things are a lot of work.
This is another piece of honesty that I truly appreciate, because I was thinking about it, and like to actually model these 3D things in high definition, like that is a lot of work
for no use in the game.
Like sometimes when I get a trophy, I will look at it, spin it around, and go, cool, and then like put it away, never look at it again. It absolutely is a waste of their time to render these things in full 3D.
Yeah, so they're just like, we're not doing that anymore.
Yeah. Right.
Instead, we're doing something called Spirits, which is a little bit like a mobile game mechanic, it feels like.
Ish. It is also a little bit just like a mechanic from the last 2 Smash Brothers games. That it is a lot like the items and like gear that you could pick up in Smash Brothers for DS and for Wii U, 3DS and for Wii U. They're sort of combining all of these ideas into one, where you get these spirits that you can equip to characters to change their stats or like alter them in some way, and that sort of takes the place of because you could also collect like alternate moves for characters in Smash 4. And like, so all of these things that you unlock through various different means seem like they're all being compressed into one thing, and that's a spirit.
So one of the things, or I guess the reason why I say it feels a little bit like a mobile mechanic is because if you played pretty much any mobile game, but any of Nintendo's mobile games, you've seen like that like gacha mechanic.
Yeah.
Where you try to draw a character and you will get like a character that's 1 star or a character that's 3 stars, and you might get the same character multiple times and they'll have different like attributes or different like levels. And the same sort of thing happens here, where spirits have different levels. There might be like a 1-star spirit or a 3-star spirit, and obviously the more stars you have, the better it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the difference is that there's no like actual money being spent here, and it doesn't appear as though there's like any time limit on like when you can try to like get another
for sure
one of these things.
That's a really good point.
It's the spirits mode also seems like it's sort of replacing what was the event mode in previous versions of Smash Brothers. So like when you pick a spirit that you want to try to collect, then you are entered into a fight which tries to like replicate the like look or feel or whatever of that character, of that spirit. So like one of the examples that they showed in the trailer was if you pick Hal Emmerich from Metal Gear Solid, you have to fight a Dr. Mario who like guards, so like a pacifist Dr. Mario who's protected by a giant metal Rob the Robot. So like it is like sort of approximating like here's a Metal Gear like scenario that like you have to fight against.
Yeah, that was one part I was like, these are tenuous connections at best.
I love this. As a kid, I used to love setting up like matches in fighting games that would like get close to like telling a story. And like, you know, that's really all the event modes ever were too, where they were like, yeah, as Link and Marth, you got to take down a giant Bowser. It's like two dudes slaying a dragon. That's cool and that's fun. And if that's what all of these are, you know, and it's unclear to me how many, if like every spirit has its own unique like battle that you have to like actually conquer to get those spirits. But if it means that there's a, you know, virtually bottomless pit of event mode matches to fight, like I am on board.
Another thing we saw is like confirmation that amiibo in this game work exactly like amiibo in Smash 4.
Yeah. And I think it's the first, I'm pretty sure it's the first time we've gotten that confirmation.
I think so too, but it was very casual.
It's very casual and no one's talking about it.
No, because I guess everybody assumed that was happening. Maybe they did talk about it in the past and we just forgot, so that's why nobody was surprised.
Because I'm big into amiibo, and you know I actually use them in Smash 4 to like train them and you know give them items and stuff to make them different, give them like unique movesets so that they're like a little bit different. So I had no idea that this was going to be part of this game, and so I'm very excited to see that part of it come back.
They also showed Smash World, which will be part of like the Nintendo Switch Online app.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Splatnet is for Splatoon 2. We don't really know very much about it other than that it's coming sometime in 2019.
The things that we do know is that it is not interested in sharing people's like win-loss ratio. That is more about like sharing videos or something.
Yeah,
like that.
like cool things.
Yeah. So I actually really like the idea that one of the things that they are trying to put forward with this game is not like the competitive angle. Like the Splatoon, it makes perfect sense to be like, look how much space you've inked, here's your win-loss, you know, whatever. And for Smash, that they're like, we don't want this to turn into like some sort of weird, you know, ego measuring contest. Like let's show you can share with your friends how you're having fun with this game. And I do think that this game is focused more on having fun than it is on like, you know, hard combat mechanics and all of that. Like you have to play the game online a lot in order to unlock the, what is it called, like elite battles, or I forget
something
exactly.
Like that.
But like, you know, if you want to find like the deep you know, fighting game mechanics of this game, they're there, and like the community will probably turn out for it. But like there's just too much other stuff in this game to like, I don't want to say waste, you know, play the game how you want to play the game, but like they don't want you to like treat it like it's just another fighting game, because it's not.
And then finally, the direct ended with a trailer for the new adventure mode-esque thing that is coming called World of Light.
And if that sounds like it's a subtitle to a Final Fantasy game, it's because this looks like it's a Final Fantasy game. The trailer is bonkers.
Yeah. Everybody dies except for Kirby.
Except for Kirby, because he is the fastest, zipping around on his little warp star. It's a really cool, like, I like the cinematic a lot, and it's very funny. Like the way that the various characters bite the dust. Like Sonic and Pikachu are like both running from these like beams, and Sonic kind of like reaches back to like try and help Pikachu, but like Pikachu gets like swallowed up, and then Sonic does too. Or like Pit and Dark Pit are flying away, and doing so pretty successfully, and then Palutena gets eaten by the, you know, this beam of light, which means they lose their magic power of flight, and they both just like plummet. And there's also one panel, you know, scene of just Snake hiding in a cardboard box, and the cardboard box just gets demolished. Like it's so full of, you know, Nintendo in jokes and like video game character like insights, that like I don't know if we can expect a bunch of these throughout the course of World of Light, or if this is like the only real taste of that we're gonna get. But I don't know. I love that sort of just attention to detail and mythology.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about in the past, like when K. Rool was premiered and everything, just that like the character animations are so thoughtful,
Yeah.
and that really is like shown here. Like you were saying, like the attention to detail in every single character is like super apparent.
So it's a little bit unclear what the actual game mode of World of Light is, right?
Yeah, it seems like it's not like a subspace emissary type thing.
Which is good because, like, I mean, we all like Subspace Emissary for the like crazy cutscenes, but like between every fight, because there were actual like fights in there. There was some like weird platforming with,
And that's not what you come to Smash for.
no, and those characters aren't like designed for it, you
Yeah.
know. So if this is like an overhead map where you just sort of navigate around to like thematically designed fights with no platforming, like yeah, great, I'm on board. And I really like the way the world map looks like sort of like a watercolor painting. It looks again like thoughtful and specific to there's one part where like they're in a Pac-Man style maze, and one where they're on like what is obviously a Monster Hunter map. So this is just going to be like another example of them just like rolling out beautiful art styles that are specific to all these games that you love to play. I don't know. I think this mode looks cool too. I'm very excited about this game, Mark.
Yeah, it went up for pre-order on the eShop like right after the Direct was completed, and it's the second best-selling game on the eShop right now.
Amazing.
So I think it's gonna be big. There was some other not Smash Brothers related news that happened this past week. So last week on the show we discussed that data miners had found a mention of maybe 2 custom Diablo 3 amiibo,
Cool.
a treasure goblin and a demon amiibo. And last week Blizzard confirmed one of those, the Loot Goblin amiibo, is a GameStop exclusive that is coming this December.
Did you get a look at this thing?
Yeah, it's in like a fun cartoony style, and like the packaging is totally different from anything I've seen in any other amiibo.
Yeah, that's weird and worth noting that like, oh yeah, amiibo can come in whatever kind of box they need to come in.
The Pokemon Company published an interview with Game Freak's Junichi Masuda and Kensaku Nabana, and in it, Masuda mentioned that this month's Let's Go games, Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, will probably be the last ones he works on as director. He's been a director on Pokemon games since, I believe, Ruby and Sapphire back in 2002. It's been a long run.
Yeah. What do you think this means for the future of the series?
I don't know. Like, we know the one is being worked on right now for
Yeah.
2019. I will be interested to see if like having a different director, maybe somebody who is newer to the series. That's all speculation on my part.
Of
I
course.
have no idea.
It could be someone who's been there since day one.
Exactly.
As well.
What kind of like effect that will have?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Pokemon is such a conservative series. Like, each new game introduces some more like mechanics and like details, sort of like under the hood, and then a bunch of new Pokemon, and like a new area. But that's it. Like the fundamental gameplay remains the same from one Pokemon to the next. If you've played Red, you can jump into Sun and Moon and you'll be fine. And I don't imagine that Masuda leaving the series changes that. So I think in a more volatile series, in like a Zelda series
Or like a Final Fantasy or something.
yeah, that it would make a big difference. But in something like Pokemon, it's such a big ship with so many, like hey, guess what? There's still going to be a bunch of charming monsters, and you're still going to try to catch them all and fight them against other charming monsters. Like the game is going to basically be the same.
Also, speaking of Let's Go, Nintendo confirmed this week that the Pro Controller won't be supported in the game. This doesn't seem like much of a surprise given what we know about how
Yeah.
the game controls. But is this disappointing to you? I don't even own a Pro Controller, so.
Is it disappointing to me? I don't know. I still am not sure whether I'm going to pick up Pokemon Let's Go. because I feel like the way to play this game is with the Pokeball Plus.
which I have pre-ordered.
Is that what it's called? Did I just make that up?
Is
Is that the Pokemon Go accessory?
it might be the Pokemon Go accessory.
Whatever it's actually called. That you pre-ordered one, right?
Yeah.
That seems like fun to me, is playing with this ball thing. So yeah, I don't. If they're already giving you their own like special controller to play it with, like, yeah, not everything needs Pro Controller support. It's fine. It doesn't hurt. Super Mario Party. Like, oh yeah, you need to be able to kind of like flick your wrist and like hold it up and whatever. It's I'm fine with it.
If you were going to pick it up, which one would you get? Pikachu or Eevee?
I don't. Well, this is the reason I'm not going to pick it up, is that I cannot decide between Pikachu and Eevee. Have you pre-ordered?
I haven't, but it is
itself?
available for pre-order. And initially, this entire time, I've been thinking like, I'm gonna obviously I'll just get Pikachu, but now I think I'm gonna get Eevee.
See, I have been hearing so many people saying like, you know what? I'm going to go for the Eevee, like as though it is the subversive choice. I think it has become mainstream.
I think that the pre-order numbers on the eShop do not bear that out.
Oh, interesting.
Pikachu is still the most popular choice, but you must just hang out with a bunch of cool counterculture people.
Oh man, I hang out with the coolest countercultural people that are like, oh yeah, Pokemon, let's go Eevee. Or GTFO.
Seems like a YouTube app may be launching on Switch this Thursday, November 8th, in the US anyways. The Nintendo website has been including a listing for a YouTube app in the You Might Also Like section that appears at the bottom of like when you're looking at game listings and stuff.
Yeah.
Yoshi's Crafted World was also leaked this way.
Oh, sure. Back when the
Direct got
was
delayed.
Yeah.
So maybe on Thursday there'll be a YouTube app.
So hey, if you need one more place to watch YouTube, you can now do it on your Switch.
In the past few months, NPD analyst, NPD is like a trade group that they track video game sales, like an analyst group, and they track video game sales and release a list of them every month. NPD analyst Matt, how would you say this last name, Patrick?
Piscatella?
Great. Has been sharing information about best-selling retro titles tracked by the NPD group. This month, he shared top 10 charts for some retro systems, including the N64 and the Game Boy Color. So these are the top 10 best-selling games on each platform.
I mean, obviously, of all time, right?
Yeah, of all time.
No one's putting out a new Nintendo 64 game.
N64, okay. Number 1 is Super Mario 64.
Great.
Number 2 is GoldenEye 007.
Makes sense so far.
3, Mario Kart 64. 4, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. 5, Pokemon Stadium. 6, Donkey Kong 64.
Oh boy.
7, Star Fox 64. Super Smash Brothers is number 8. Number 9 is Diddy Kong Racing.
Yep.
And number 10 is Star Wars Shadow of the Empire.
I'm surprised that Star Wars is that high on the list. Shadows. I guess it was one of the earlier games that came out on Nintendo 64. I'm also surprised that Super Mario 64 is ahead of Mario Kart.
Yeah. I guess maybe it had a head start.
I mean, it definitely had a head start. It was a launch game, and Mario Kart was not. But it still seems crazy. I guess the only well, that's no surprise to me, is GoldenEye being as high as it is. I guess I am a little bit surprised that Ocarina of Time is so high. Just because I know people like Zelda games, but they're not and they're good selling games, but this is a number 4 slot on the system. It's just very high.
I'm also surprised that Super Smash Brothers is as low as it is. Maybe again, just it didn't have as much time.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that the series doesn't become what it is until the GameCube,
for sure.
So yeah, I think the people that were in on Super Smash Brothers from the beginning were the super cool countercultural people that I was talking about before, and
You've known them your whole life.
Oh yeah.
Game Boy Color. This, no surprise, there are so many Pokemon games here.
I love this list. It's so funny.
Number 1 is Pokemon Silver. Number 2 is Pokemon Gold. 3 is Super Mario Brothers. 4 is Pokemon Pinball.
Number 4, Pokemon Pinball.
5, Pokemon Crystal. 6, Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duet. 7, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. 8, Donkey Kong Country. 9, Pokemon Trading Card Game. Number 10, Legend of Zelda Oracle of Ages.
And I love that Oracle of Seasons must have been just beyond the 10 gap. I can't imagine that one of those sells remarkably more than the other, right?
Yeah, but I guess we will never know for sure. And that sounded like I was going to like continue the thought on the Game Boy Color's top 10 list, but I wasn't. I'm starting a whole new news item.
Well, hold on. Let's stay on it for a second.
Okay.
So it is their silver, gold, pinball, crystal, and the trading card game. 5 of the Game Boy's top 10 selling games are Pokemon games, including number 1, number 2, and number 4.
Yeah.
And number 5.
And number 5.
It's just, man, what a juggernaut series that Pokemon is.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Sneaking up there in 6th. It's kind of surprising to me.
I don't understand that at all.
I guess I underestimated how big Yu-Gi-Oh! Was.
I'm also surprised to see the Donkey Kong Country port on there.
That one doesn't really surprise me
Tell me
because Donkey Kong Country was huge. And so the idea of like, oh, and you could play Donkey Kong Country on your Game Boy Color, like if you didn't have an N64 or whatever, like
It's Super Nintendo, rather.
Super Nintendo, yeah. Development company Virtuos has been responsible for a couple of high-profile ports to Switch so far. They ported L.A. Noire last year and Dark Souls Remastered this year. Speaking with Nintendo Life, the company's Lucas Kodar mentioned that the developer has more in the works, saying, quote, "For obvious reasons, we cannot say what exactly we're working on, but we will definitely have some exciting, high-profile Switch games coming out very soon."
Very soon.
Yeah.
So that could mean anywhere from like a year to
To 2 years.
2 years.
Finally, the namesake for Mario died this past week. Mario Segali, I'm not sure, died on October 27th at the age of 84. He was a real estate developer in Washington State who owned lots of office buildings and malls, and he rented a warehouse to Nintendo back in 1981, and he never really loved being the namesake of Mario.
Whoa, what?
Well, he seemed to be fine with it, but he didn't like talking about
Didn't like talking about the fact
He-
that he's Mario?
He didn't like talking about it, and he was apparently worried that it would because he was a serious businessman, and so he was apparently worried that that would ruin business deals, that people wouldn't take him seriously. And so he was.
Well, he just needed to stop barging into rooms with his high, reedy voice, declaring that it's a me Mario, and then people would have taken him seriously.
But yeah, just a little bit of Nintendo trivia.
Yes, and well, it is fun to make jokes. Mark did remind me before we started recording, a man did die. So may he rest in peace. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. That is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate all that stuff greatly, and we will, in fact, read your guest weathers if you put them there. And if you like this episode, please share on Facebook or Twitter or however you share anything. Is there someone sitting next to you on the bus?
You standing in line to vote?
Yeah, take your earbuds out of your ear and just sneak them into someone else's ear.
Do that after you voted, so you don't get
Yeah, so you don't get
Cast
kicked
out,
yeah. Cast out.
Mhm.
Very good. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at Nin Cart Society. You can check out the Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Mark is already handling our emails for the top NES. 8 NES games. So we've got to just transition over to this episode. We are so excited. Come back on Thursday and listen to us make up this outrageous list with your help, of course. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers casting you out. And thanks for listening.
Campfire.